In the weeks leading up to the Democratic National Convention, there's been tension between city officials and the American Civil Liberties Union of Pennsylvania involving the rules for protesting during the convention. There's been back and forth communication between city officials and the ACLU as to whether if demonstrations can happen on Broad Street, if people can sleep in FDR Park, or if protesters need permits. I'll talk to lawyers to find out your rights.
It is very possible that these enthusiastic people who feel alienated are going to try to be heard, and it's possible the city's going to stomp on them like they did 16 years ago.
Larry Krasner, a criminal defense attorney, represented hundreds of protesters accused of crimes when they were engaged in protests, civil disobedience, and free speech activity in 2000 at the Republican National Convention in Philadelphia.
So what happened during the RNC is that 420 plus people were arrested. Some of them were leaders of protesters, and there was basically a hit list of people who were arrested before they could, heaven forbid, lead any protest. And then there was the other groups were just large groups of protesters who were taken off the street by police. This was totally contrary to what the city promised. They said they were just going to come with summary citations, which are kind of like traffic tickets, something of that nature. And they were often held on enormous bails. There were several people held on $1 million bail or $500,000 bail. And they were held exactly until George W. Bush took off in his airplane from the tarmac. The reason for this, as I'm sure you can figure out, was they wanted to silence dissent. They wanted to silence people who were speaking out against the Republicans, against conservatism, against Bush himself.
Krasner and a group of lawyers spent 4 years fighting these cases. Krasner says the result was that they won almost every case.
This is despite the fact that Lynn Abraham, who was the DA at the time, assigned her homicide prosecutors to these cases, that John Street, who was the mayor, was making a giant priority out of trying to grind these protesters' faces into the dirt. It was frankly an amazing outcome. As a criminal defense lawyer for many years, you just don't win 99% of your cases, or 98.5% of your cases, you just don't. But we did. And we did basically because these people were framed. I mean, time and time again, what we found out is that the police version of events was a lie, that there was video that showed it was a lie, or that there were other details that made it clear that the story put forward by law enforcement was false.
Are you anticipating something as big as that was to happen this year?
You know, it's very hard to know. We have a tremendous level of alienation. You have a tremendous sense, both among the Democrats and the Republicans, that there are a lot of people who feel like they are political outsiders. They have been marginalized, that the political insiders have been running their own game for a long time, and the outsiders, for example, the Bernie supporters or even the Trump supporters, feel alienated and they want to be heard.
Jodi Dodd has been doing legal work for activists around the country since the 1980s. She and a group of volunteers known as the Legal Collective will be on the streets during the convention.
What we will be doing is we're going to have our own observers on the street, volunteers. We're working with the National Lawyers Guild, collaborating with them. So they're going to have the green hats on the streets, the legal observers, so that whenever anybody is going to be arrested, we will physically, visually see where they were arrested, who was arrested. We'll take note of their names if we can get them, physical description of them. You know, young woman was arrested on the corner of Broad and Snyder wearing white shorts and blue top. And then we'll start calling the police department and saying, you know, these people were arrested, where are they?
Dodd and Krasner offer these tips to protesters.
There are marches, rallies, demonstrations, pickets, on and on and on, that happen probably weekly in the city of Philadelphia, and people don't have permits and people are not being arrested. So you really do not need a permit to protest in Philadelphia. You should prepare by having a bail fund in the event that you do have to post bail for people. So we're encouraging all activist groups to do that.
You should not expect to be arrested or to have your telephone taken or destroyed. It may happen, but if it happens, it will be against police directives. In my opinion, it will be a crime in and of itself. My advice is speak out. My advice is you have a sacred constitutional right under both the United States and the Pennsylvania Constitution to engage in free speech. It is the core of how we start to listen to and think about new ideas and get better ideas and change things. Take that right and use it before you're dead, okay? Do not be intimidated. Do not be afraid. If you're in Philadelphia, then come to Philadelphia. If you're not in Philadelphia, come to Philadelphia and make your voice heard. There's a team of attorneys already here. They're not expecting to make a bunch of money off of you, who are already organizing to defend you. As long as you are behaving in, as long as what you're doing is speech, and as long as what you are doing is in the tradition of nonviolence, they are ready to defend you, your free speech rights, and your activity. Free speech matters. It's not just the icing on the cake, it's the cake. Be heard. If you have something to say and you feel it's important, then be heard. Come here and be heard. My advice is speak out. My advice is you have a sacred constitutional right under both the United States and the Pennsylvania Constitution to engage in free speech. It is the core of how we start to listen to and think about new ideas and get better ideas and change things. Take that right and use it before you're dead, okay? Do not be intimidated. Do not be afraid. If you're in Philadelphia, then come to Philadelphia. If you're not in Philadelphia, come to Philadelphia and make your voice heard.
There will be 4 Know Your Rights training events at Arch Street United Methodist Church happening July 9th, July 16th, July 20th, and July 23rd. Trenae Nuri, Philly Cam Voices.